Now, networking from a business and a consumer perspective is kind of a funny business right now because consumers and business users alike are using more and more of the network. That's good for equipment suppliers, I would think. It's not necessarily so good for all of the service providers. Take a YouTube, for example, which uses a ton of bandwidth and doesn't necessarily monetize it all the time as well as it would like to. Where does that hit equilibrium, and how does that affect Juniper?
At the core of it is two market trends. Whether you're a service provider selling subscriptions or an over-the-top provider with online advertising, and those two market trends are mobile internet and cloud computing. Mobile internet is the explosion of these smartphone devices and more consumers with more digital devices consuming more data, more traffic, more applications, more services. Those services are being delivered out of massive data centers. You take YouTube, for example. Being able to store all that video and distribute all that video requires massive data centers. Cloud computing is how you virtualize those data centers and basically how you bring a new network fabric to connecting all those devices. So those are two market trends that we're focused on, and in both of those cases, we're trying to transform the economics for our customers, whether it's a content service provider or a service provider selling subscriptions.
Now, my assumption would also be that what we're also seeing in these very markets is massive disruption. So Apple was not a major cell phone player a very few number of years ago. Now it is. Salesforce.com was not a major player in software just a few years ago. Now it is. So the question is, you want to be disruptive on the one hand to the market leader Cisco. On the other hand, you're not exactly a small player yourself, and you could get disrupted as well in these developments.
Yeah, no question. We operate in a very competitive market, and whenever you have disruptions taking place in the market, those are inflection points for new competitors and new entrants. And in these two trends, mobile internet and cloud computing, you see that. You see what the iPhone did to the user experience for smartphones that really sparked this acceleration of transition from feature phones to smartphones. You see then Android's entrance, you see Windows Phone, you see what Symbian and the focus Nokia has on MeeGo, and how that then translates not only to phones but to iPads and tablets. That whole mobile internet trend has created an inflection point that has allowed disruptors to really capture share. So our opportunity as a company is to make sure that, number one, we identify the disruptions that are happening in the marketplace and the inflection points, and number two, that we innovate. And we invest, this last year we invest a little bit over 20% of revenue into R&D. In fact, in 2009 at the recession, instead of laying off employees and cutting R&D, we increased R&D.